What is up, Cigars Daily Nation? I think something's going on. I think humidor manufacturers are watching. Specifically, I think they're watching you, and they've learned something important, and that's that your cigar collections are growing. They're growing to the degree that you guys need bigger and bigger humidors, and I think this only because the size of the humidors they're sending me to review are getting to the point of ridiculous. Okay, so over my shoulder here is another massive cabinet humidor that I just got today. This one is from Zieun, another brand that I haven't worked with before, but I'm excited to see what they're pumping out today. If you have a growing cigar collection, you're looking for that right cabinet, god dang, this is crazy. So right now, everybody's just trying to do their job behind me. This is their only crime. They're just trying to work. And that work is so ridiculously loud. I'm finding fewer and fewer moments during the day I can make a video, but also can't really complain. All right, I have to rearrange the whole studio to unbox this thing. So I'm going to go do that. And then we're going to take a look inside this huge cabinet humidor and see just exactly what it has to offer. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Before I can even take this thing into the studio, I have to do one of my favorite part of these humidor reviews. And that's first of all, acknowledge that the packaging is typically made by a second language English speaker. This one, in this case, was made in China. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the Zieun 84-liter electric humidor. This thing is a behemoth for the growing cigar collection. Certainly after unboxing this and taking a look through it, it's got some seriously sweet features. So if you're looking, pay close attention here, but also a couple of little things I noticed, little idiosyncrasies, things that might bother the average cigar smoker. So time to take you right inside. But the first thing obviously is the manual. You guys all know that when you invest in a unit like this, you want to make sure that it's functioning totally properly. So I always talk about the manual in these bad boys, and this one with Zieun's actually pretty damn well laid out, and as an added benefit, it's in readable English. There's a lot covered in here, everything from how to fill the internal humidifier, and yes, it does seem to have a stellar internal humidifier, to how to operate the controls at the top to set your temperature and your humidity. It even has some seasoning instructions, and that's where I want to kick this off. I always go through how you season these electric humidors, but with this one, its instructions are written out clearly, but also very different than anything I've seen in any other electric humidor. Fundamentally, all you do with this bad boy is put water into the humidifier down below, set the desired humidity, let it sit for 5 hours, and then put your cigars inside. As far as I can tell from what this says, it's that simple. Now, of course, 5 hours isn't a terribly long time to season a humidor, and you'll have to use some judgment about how dry your shelves feel, or how much time of seasoning you're going to give this thing empty before you add cigars to it. And that does change a little bit depending on where you live. So it very well may just be 5 hours, put your cigars in, and then you have no problem. If you give it a little bit longer, I don't think you're going to do anyone any harm. Now, as far as setting the temperature and the humidity in this thing, whether or not this is a pro or a con for you is up to you. But the buttons for this are on the inside of the unit, meaning that you have to open the door to get to them. Now, this is one area that with a lot of humidors I find to be pretty darn simple. With this unit, it doesn't seem as straightforward, and I had to go to the user manual to figure out how this works. But fundamentally, you have a set button on one side that if you press it once allows you to set the temperature of the unit. And it doesn't say temperature on my unit as I'm setting it, and so ultimately I had to figure that out in the instruction manual. Pressing the set button twice brings me to where I'm setting the humidity. Now it's time to dive into the nuts and bolts of cigar storage and humidification on the inside of this thing. Once you get all of your temperature and humidity set at the top, here's how it works and what you can expect from the interior. The first thing, we'll start at the bottom with this humidification tray. So this thing is going to hold what looks to be at least a gallon of water. It's fantastic size for holding a ton of water. I've seen units of this size that don't really even seem to hold this much. Very, very easy to read gauge on how high to fill this thing, and you can see it very easily from the front. So this thing is going to give you a lot of access to fill it and sort of set it and forget it. The only thing about this I don't really get is this little tail that this tray has that appears to have been electrical taped on here. I don't know what the purpose of this is, but you know what? I'm sure that it serves a function. It doesn't really say. Right above this, you can see how this humidification system works. There are fans that blow into the water and distribute that humidity throughout the humidor. Even on the interior, there are several fans installed in the back that rotate air through this thing to give you a nice, even distribution of air. So far, this is the only unit I've really seen where I've noticed that they intentionally put extra fans on the inside for circulating air. Extra careful attention to detail to that. The drawback to that is that behind the shelves of this unit, there is about 3 inches of space. It seems like they just wanted to use that for airflow. You can actually see it with these shelves, that the shelves end and have these little tails on either side. And so it seems like it costs a little bit of space for cigar storage and makes it just not deep enough quite to put 2 boxes in there. But if you're taking good care of your very valuable cigars and you value airflow, it may be worth it for you, or maybe not. You're like, I don't like that very much at all. That's entirely up to you. But certainly the shelves in this thing are noteworthy. And I got to start off with a drawback here. This is a con for me. A unit like this really should allow you to open the shelves with the door drawn back like this. You guys can see the door is open. Here is about 90 degrees of the door being open, and the shelves will not come out. They get caught on the door. I have to open the thing probably, I don't know, more than 90 degrees, 120 something, too much. And now I can finally get the shelves out. This only matters if you intend to put this somewhere in your house, like near a wall or something that would prohibit the door from opening more than 90 degrees. If that's the case, you won't be able to get the shelves in and out. But if you've got pretty, open swing for the door, then you can slide the shelves out. Now, these don't have rollers underneath them or anything like that. This is a wooden shelf sitting on a wooden track that draws in and out pretty smoothly. That being said, there's nothing limiting this thing from just falling when you pull it out too far. And so I don't think it would take you more than one damn time of dropping a tray on the ground to learn that. But it is something that I noticed as soon as I pulled one tray out, it just sort of fell out into my hands here. The great news about these shelves is that they have got these baskets in them that hold what's going to be 2 or 3 rows of cigars stacked high, or your boxes of cigars. You're not going to have any issue with cigars rolling off of the side of these. Of course, they're the slatted shelves for more airflow in this thing, as if we need more airflow in this thing at this point. But certainly there's plenty of opportunities for you to store your cigars. If you don't hell, I'll say this. Even if you're overfilling these shelves, with the rear air movement, you're going to have plenty of airflow going through this humidor that if you rotate your cigars once every 3 to 6 months or something like that, you should be able to stack your cigars 3 high in here and hold a ton of cigars in this thing. And if you actually happen to fill this with a lot of cigars, of course, you'll be concerned about the smell that this thing opened up with. That plasticky humidor smell that a lot of electric humidors get. Completely non-existent in this one. This is the second humidor I've reviewed that is completely lined with Spanish cedar every inch of the inside of this. So from the second I took it out of the box, it smelled like nothing but cedar inside. Then after plugging it in and getting the motor going, which can sometimes sort of produce a little bit of that plasticky smell, still nothing but cedar smell inside of this humidor. So in my mind, a very safe unit to go with if you're looking for something that out of the box is gonna like leave you devoid of having to get rid of a plastic smell with activated charcoal and newspaper or whatever the hell people are doing to get that smell out these days. Now this next one sort of seems like a no-brainer, but apparently for humidor makers it is not, because it isn't a feature that all of these have. But these guys have put the lock in the front. It's in the front, on the center, on the bottom, so that you can lock it. And I guess if there's an advantage to having all the controls on the inside, that would, if you lock the thing, it will keep anybody from changing any of your settings. If you've got a roommate who likes to play pranks and turn your humidor heat up or something like that, or turn your humidity way down and destroy your cigar collection because that's hilarious to them for some reason, like, this will certainly protect you from mischief going on in your humidor. Lock the thing, don't lose the keys, and then nobody will be able to touch your settings. And one huge, fat, gigantic, enormous pro for this unit is something I love. On the display, there's a readout of the current humidity. And this has amazed me that some of these larger cabinet humidors have a way to set the temperature. They have a way to set the humidity, but nothing in the display that will read back your humidity or temperature to you. That means some of these bigger units have a thermostat. You can set what the temperature is. They have a hygrostat. You can set what the humidity is, but they don't have a thermometer or a hygrometer. Units that will read back to you what the current temperature or humidity is. So the issue here being, you can tell it what temperature you want it to be, you can tell it what humidity you want it to be, but if the damn thing runs out of water on some of these other units, you have no way of knowing. Unless you look at the actual water display down below and see that the thing is out. This one actually gives you a readout, a hygrometer, digital hygrometer readout of what's in there. Now, I mentioned that as a huge pro because I've seen other cabinets that have not had that feature, and that blows me away. For what people are spending on units like this, the thing should absolutely, it should be the Rolls Royce of humidors. It should tell you everything down to how you feel that morning. The fact that this one tells you what the current humidity inside is, it's a feature. It's a feature that not all of them have. All of them should have it, but this one does. Big pro. Great job. And then one more thing that's a little bit nitpicky to me. I like this, but I don't like it all the way. It could have been done better, I guess. And that's the lighting, the interior lighting. So this has LED strip lighting all the way down both sides of the humidor, which is great. It's way better, again, than the dome lights that a lot of these have. That's sort of like your old Honda Civic from high school, that the dome light comes on and you still can't even see what's going on in the back seat. This thing right here has got these nice bright strip lights running all the way up and down. My critique here for Zieun, like just little nitpicky thing, these stripped lights run in front of the shelves. So I actually feel like in the shelves, it's a little bit dim. And I would think that part of the purpose of these lights is to sort of light up the cigars. It feels like looking into the shelves, it's a little bit darker than the actual fascia, the front face of the shelves. And so, you know, I've seen a couple of these cabinets where the lights are incorporated maybe an inch or two back into the humidor so that light is actually shining on the cigars. But again, that really depends on how big of a deal and how important that is to you. I'm a looker. I like to look at my sticks, and so a well-lit humidor should have the cigars all bright and glowing and beautiful and like just so you can look at them. Because sometimes I do. I just stand there and I look at my cigars and I'm like, damn, I love these cigars. Overall, though, I gotta say, this thing is a good value for what you're going to spend on it. They list for $19.99.99, which is going to be a hell of a sticker shock, I think, for a lot of people. But also, if your cigar collection is growing, it very likely represents a large investment. And keeping that collection in good shape over a long period of time is a high value. You need a really nice piece of equipment to do that. This Zieun 84-liter humidor has got all the bells and whistles for controlling temperature and humidity and maintaining excellent airflow. These are things that are critical if you're going to be aging cigars or storing high-end cigars or just have a large volume of cigars that are going into your collection, whether you're going to smoke them all today and tomorrow or keep them for a long period of time. It seems like Zieun's taken pretty damn careful thought about thinking about all those little things. about thinking about all those little details. And ultimately, the value of this thing is in the eye of the beholder. And I'll ask, have any of you had experience with Zieun humidors before? Have you used one, and what has your experience with it been like? I would love to hear more from you guys in the comments of this video. And of course, I want to encourage you to check this one out on the community on Cigars Daily Plus. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Tim signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.